we need to do, we need to open up the lug nuts. Let's see if we have the right socket for it. Now we take the wheel out, and my rotors got warped, and this is the screw I'm talking about. I need to change the rotor and I need to change the brakes, so you always got to buy this screw new from the dealer. And there's a sensor somewhere here that also needs replacement. Maybe it's on the other side. We're gonna look into that. So let's now go and open up the caliper. Alright, to open up the caliper, you would need number 13 sockets. And we're going to open up using number 13 sockets. We're going to open this bolt and this bolt right here. We're going to pull the caliper out, and then we're going to remove the rotor. We have to remove the screw right here, and that's how we're going to remove the rotor. And whenever you replace the brakes, the rotors, you always must replace the brakes as well. So let's start with the process. Now you see I'm trying to move, and this nut right here is moving. So what I need to do is to a wrench to hold this in place. So what we're doing, we're using a grip plier when you're trying to open this. Got the screw out. We're going to do the same thing to the bottom one. So we got our two screws out. What we're going to do, we're going to remove the caliper slowly and gently. Then we're going to move to the next part when you have to remove the bracket that holds the caliper. These are our brake pads right here. We're going to remove them as well and replace it with the new ones that we got. Alright, so to open up the bracket for the caliper is a special screw. For that you have to use a socket like this, and the socket number is E18, and it fits right here, and we're going to open that up. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up these screws right here. And if they don't open, use WD-40 on them. So if you see, these are special bolts. For these, you got to have this special socket, and it fits there. It's called a star socket. And I said the number is E18. And we can do the same thing to the top one. E30, and I can use that to open it up. There we go. Alright, so the rotor is out. And we're going to replace it with the Mercedes brand rotor, and when we install, we're gonna clean it with the brake cleaner and remove the sticker. So when you take the rotor out, you see you can spray silicone spray over here. So this way it don't rust out of there. And then you can install your rotor in there. So goes our rotor. Now we're going to put our new screws. These screws cost about like $10 a pair at the dealership, so it is recommended to change both screws. So we're replacing both the screws here. So you tighten up the screw, see the rotor sits, and then we can tighten it up using the ratchet. And next thing we're going to do is install the pads. Alright, so use the brake cleaner, clean the rotor from both sides. So once we do that, we know it's good. Always do that. So now we're going to replace the brake pads. So even you see my brake pads are good, but since my rotor had a warp, so there's a kind of play in it. So we're going to replace the rotors the brake pads as well. And what I always do on my brake pads is to put brake quiet on. Use the brake quiet on it. Once we do that, take our pads and replace it. Make sure the pad's going. Oops. Now we're gonna install the other one. The key to it, you see this thing right here? You put it there and press down on it. When you press down on it, it fits into the groove right there. So, we got the pads installed. Okay, now we're going to go install our bracket back. Put one screw and put the other one. I'm going to tap these disc pads to fit snugly with the rotor. You see now they're snugly packed, and what I'm going to do the next thing is I'm going to put the piston in for the caliper, and for that we can open up the hood and open up the cover for the brake fluid holder or the tank, and then we're going to press this in. This is the blade for it. What you do is you take the old pad, put this here, you take this, put it across like this, and you tighten it up. And you're going to see the piston is going to go in. You see the piston is going in slowly. That's a good sign. Now that the piston is fully compressed, you open this up. And install this thing back. And we're going to take our screws that we open up. We can install our screws back. We got one in there. Get the other one in there. And we're going to use the same trick as we inspect everything, make sure everything looks good, and so now we put our wheel back. Porsche and Mercedes always make the wheel lug nuts like screws, unlike Japanese cars. So you gotta be careful when you put them in. Just make sure you don't mess up the threads. So always use this method that I use. I mean, it works for me, but whatever works for you. For safety, I just do it with the hand too. Just make sure they're tight. So now we're going to move on to the other side. Let me see. So one thing that I want to mention, whenever you want to lift up Mercedes, it has this sign right here, like where to put the jack. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a sign, and you put your jack right under that, and then you can lift it up. The jack, once the tire's off the ground, Alright, this side you see is a little bit different. We have a sensor that goes here, and we can install the sensor as you see it. And we're going to open up these two screws, which are number 13, and then we're going to open up the other ones, which are special screws. So here you got to be careful because you have the sensor here. So if you see the sensor, how nicely snugged in, so only thing we gotta do is to take it out like this. In fact, we don't even need to take it out, we'll just put in the other one, the new one. We take out our brake pads slowly and surely. Alright, let's do it this way then. I always use the brake quiet. Even though these are good brake pads, but I always use this. What you do, you take this, it goes into that pinhole. You just that's how it gets installed. Just make sure everything looks good. Actually, this is the old one, this is the new one. Everything fit good. Now we're gonna install it back on, and we have our brake pad. The bracket that holds the caliper. So the best technique I learned, you put the pad in place and then slowly tap on top on one side, and that pad goes in, and that's how we do it. Alright, so we have to change the rotor on this side, so T30. We open up the nut. So we take out this bolt. It's always required to change this bolt by Mercedes. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna spray silicone spray here, cleaner, so there's no oil or anything on it. And put it back here. So fit the screw back. process is the same as the other one. Just put it there, put the screws back in. My little one, she's making sure I get all the tools and the parts that I need, and her big sister is making sure that she's recording everything that I'm trying to do. So I have great help, and I'm sure probably you have great help too. So we're gonna use our clamp, and we're gonna squeeze our piston in. We squeeze it all the way in. It's in now, and we can open up the clamp, and now we can install the caliper on. Sure, our sensor goes in the right spot, but before we do that, let's screw everything in. Let's put our sensor in. When you hear that click, it means the sensor is installed right. And we make sure it's tight good. Alright, now we're done, so we can put our rim back. Alright, so this is how you do it, and once you're done with this job, we're going to pump the pedal inside before starting the car. We're going to put our cap back on the brake container, and then we're good to go. When you're done with the brakes, make sure you pump up the pedal. You pump up the pedal, and your pedal should get tight. When it gets tight, start your car, and make sure there's no warning lights or anything. Stop your car, and then put your cover back on the brake fluid container, and make sure your level is good on the brake container, and it looks good. Right now we're good, no problem. So let's close it, and that's how you change the brakes on a CLA 250 2016.